Greetings, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I want to welcome you to my new Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast series. We have been overwhelmed with the responses that people have shared from listening to these messages on my SiriusXM show over the years. Those listeners, and they're sharing my show with their network, telling people about it, telling their family members, their friends, and their coworkers about this show and the impact it's having on their lives. That's the main reason that this show is now #1 for self-help in America, and I'm very grateful. Yet, we realize that many people do not have satellite radio and therefore could not experience for themselves the message. They could not get it for themselves. So we are now sharing these messages with everyone via this new podcast. Enjoy it and share it with your network. And let's help even more people to do more, be more, and achieve more. Tell everybody so that they can live a Wealthy Ways life as well. Welcome to the new Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast. And remember, your best is yet to come.
Named one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world.
Inducted into the Speaker Hall of Fame.
Award-winning singer.
Best-selling author.
And now, here's Willie Jolley.
Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I am excited about another opportunity to be on the air with you to share some ideas and some strategies to help you to do more, be more, and to achieve more. You have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it, forced upon you. You can't refuse it. You didn't seek it. You didn't choose it, but it's up to you to use it. You must suffer. If you lose it, give account. If you abuse it, just a tiny little minute, but your eternities are all wrapped up in it. So I'm grateful that you're taking time out of your day and your busy schedule to spend some time with me on this show. Now, I am confident that the time you are spending, the time you are sharing or putting into this experience will pay great dividends. So it's really not spending time, you're investing your time, and I am grateful for you investing your time. Now, I start with that minute. As many of you know, whoever listened, whether you're listening on air or you're listening on a podcast, or someone sent it to you some other way, that I start every show, every speech, everything I do with that minute, which I have adapted for over almost 30 years now from Dr. Benjamin Mays, who was Martin Luther King Jr.'s mentor, and that minute is called God's Minute. And we take a minute to say at the beginning of every show, thanks to God. Thanks to God for His grace and His favor and being able to have life and strength. So I give God glory. And I know everybody who listens to this or might hear this doesn't believe as I believe, but I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm just trying to let people know on whose the bread is buttered, whose side the bread is buttered, and who did the buttering. And I give God glory for that. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for you listening. Now, I want to take a moment to thank all of you who have been purchasing my new book, An Attitude of Excellence. If you don't have a copy, I want to encourage you to go get a free chapter from the attitudeofexcellence.com website, and then go into your local bookstore, Amazon, anywhere, and get the new book, An Attitude of Excellence. You'll be inspired by it. If you have a organization, you'll want to have your people read it, because it's 2 books in one. Organizational development, the first half, personal development, the second half. The best way to grow your future is grow yourself. Best way to grow your organization is to grow your people. So get An Attitude of Excellence and you will grow your people. My guest today is one of the true icons in America and also in the publishing industry. He is a history maker, a world shaker, a life changer. I remember the first time I think I can remember meeting him was in 1992, 3, 4, somewhere in there. And I was at the National Speakers Association convention, and they were whispering, he's coming to this convention. I said, really? Yeah. He had written a book called Chicken Soup for the Soul with a gentleman named Jack Canfield. And this gentleman wrote this book, and they have such a story. I'll let him tell the story. But anyway, the book has gone on. Everybody who knows anything about publishing books, been in any bookstore, knows about the massive success of Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I went up to him. I had a new book called Only Takes a Minute, Change Your Life. I went up to him and said, is it possible you could give me just a quote, a thought for my new book. He pulled out a pad, wrote a quote on a piece of paper, and said, "God bless you." And that quote went on the front of my book. The book went on to be a bestseller. And so he is best known as the co-author, as I said, of the Chicken Soup for the Soul book series, setting world records in book sales with over 500 million books sold. 500 million, folks. He has worked his way into a worldwide spotlight as a sought-after keynote speaker, an entrepreneurial marketing maven, and I can attest to that. He has created a stream of successful people who have created massive success for themselves through his unique teachings and wisdom, with his programs that he teaches others how to do it, with his enduring charismatic style, and he is charismatic. He has captured audiences' attentions around the world, spoken over 6,000 times to audiences worldwide with his one-of-a-kind technique and masterful authority and his ability to get people to engage. He is a prolific writer with over 300 books authored and co-authored. Most know him for Chicken Soup for the Soul, but he's also the author of Power of Focus, The Aladdin Factor, Dare to Win, 1 Million Millionaire. And he has one on tithing that's incredible, just incredible. His knowledge is of over 44 years of speaking. We have had the opportunity to be on tours together. After I met him initially, some years later, I started doing more and more programs. We did a program at the Crystal Cathedral, Hour of Power, the men's conference, which was so successful that they took us on a tour, and we became really good friends then. He's been on Oprah. He's been on CNN, Today Show, on every major television program, every kind of print program. He's also an Horatio Alger Award winner. That means that he is one of the few who has been chosen as someone who pulled himself up by his bootstraps. He is my dear friend, and I'm grateful to be able to have him on today, the one and only Mark Victor Hansen. Are you there, my friend?
I'm here. Well, after hearing that, I want to hear me. I love your poetry, and I thank you for all the acknowledgement, accolade, and it was my absolute joy to endorse you then and now. It just, the world needs to hear from you, sir.
Well, you are my friend, and I'm grateful you endorsed me when nobody knew who I was, though, Mark. Nobody knew who a Willie Jolley was. I was just a guy with an idea, a dream, and a desire to inspire people. You saw something in me and encouraged me then, and I'm grateful for our friendship. So, wow, you have, well, first of all, I got to applaud. Those who know him have to see his website and the new Mark Victor Hansen. Now, he was not a heavy guy at all. He was a normal-sized guy, but he now is slim and trim, looked like a model. I mean, man, you look fabulous.
Well, bless your heart. Thank you. I've got a wife who wrote a book called Skinny Life, and it's bestseller, and it's amazing that what you got to do is to be image correct for that book. And it's been wonderful. I got to just do one aside here. I'm way out marrying myself. I got divorced long ago. I wrote down 267 things I wanted in my ideal wife. When I was out looking, I found this woman that just had trueness pouring out of her soul, and I said, oh. And then I found out she was available at lunch. I can do it if you want to hear it, but I wrote down all those things. I didn't know what they were until after we got married, and I put them in a book called The Miracle in You. And what happens is most of us get married because he's tall, dark, and handsome like you are, or whatever the reason is, or female, she's beautiful, well built, whatever the deal is, not enough. You need value, you need attributes, you need qualities, you need characteristics. I wanted somebody that had all that, and I say that when you write a goal, you never cross it out like milk, eggs, butter. You write down victory, because all of us pulsate. And luckily, she and I fell indefatigably in love and are not only soulmates, but just to finish the story, we're twin flames, which means we can finish each other's great thinking. And she keeps me in line, and I help keep her inspired to doing more and better and greater, like your whole show is dedicated to.
Wow. Well, she has done a great job with you, and obviously you and she together are a power team, and
Yep.
you can tell because of the fact that you just look fabulous. You're glowing, and you're doing great things. Well, you've written numerous books. You've been massively successful. Horatio Alger Award when I was there one year when Nito was inducted, and you and I sat and talked, and you have just done so many things. Yet you're still energetic doing the rest. And what is it that keeps you going, keeps you moving, keeps you excited about life?
Well, you mentioned a book I wrote called The Miracle of Tithing, and I say there's four things. Thinking, you do 4 T's. Thinking is most important. Time, talent, and treasures. And, as long as you keep contributing, that's why you're here. You and I were, the whole book of Genesis starts out in the beginning, God created, then number 28 is created you and I in the image and likeness. But that means you and I are here for only one reason, to create and contribute. And what I want to do is create a world that works for 100% of humanity, which is not a very popular thought, because everyone says, I'm going to just take care of me. I don't care about the rest. I run a business here. I just want to make money and profit from my business. Well, I think you got to have social initiative in addition to that. And we do, and I do. And the reason Chicken Soup sold more than any other book is that we tithe in every book, and we decide what we were going to do with it. And all the 307 bestsellers I got, and we're writing a few more still. But, because it's sort of like Ernest Hemingway said, why are you still writing? You got Pulitzer Prizes. You know everybody in the world. He said, because I got some stories and people like to hear them.
Right.
And I've got a lot of stories and people want to hear them, and I think they're interesting stories, quite honestly. It's self-aggrandizing, but I hope you'll forget, because what Joel Osteen has taught me is that, the whole thing in Pauline literature is that each of us is God's greatest masterpiece, and it's true. Nobody else got your thought print, which is most important, your voice print, your eye print, all of which we can do with a computer today, and look at somebody's iris, and it's a one-off, and your fingerprint is a one-off. And each of us is a one-off, but we're here to manifest and magnify and amplify and expand our individual talents, skills, abilities. And my teacher, when I was getting my doctorate, was Bucky Fuller, Einstein's student, and Dr. Fuller, Buckminster Fuller, said, every one of us is born a genius, and you get de-geniused as you go through life. So the point is, you and I as speakers try to plug people back in and say, hey, wait a second, you've got all this infinite potential. There's not 4 dimensions. There's not 23 in me, 23 chromosomes. We now know there are 28 dimensions, and what Christ said is, where I am, you may be also. And the point is that the line before that is, my house, my mind, my beingness has many dimensions, and you and I are here to explore the deep, profound dimensionality of human being, where you can literally shapeshift, like you said I have within physicality, but more important, the Apostle Paul said, be transformed by the self-renewing of your mind. You and I are here to do shows like this to reform our minds, but transform others also.
Absolutely. And I love that you shared that, because people don't realize that we really do want to help people to transform their thinking. We changed because our thinking was transformed. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I love what Les Brown, he said he thought those were the most powerful 16 words in the world, were that do not be conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And those 16 words, what we will do will help you to change your thinking and change your future, and change your finances, change your family, change your legacy, because you've changed who you are by changing your thinking. So I love that. Thinking, time, talent, treasure. And we give because we've been blessed, and the more we give, the more we get. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back with Mark Victor Hansen. I'm going to ask him to tell you how this Chicken Soup for the Soul phenomena happened. You have to hear the inspirational story of how it didn't come easy. It wasn't a cakewalk. In fact, they got turned down record numbers of times, but they refused to give up. And then he's gone on, and he'll tell you some of the things he tells students and people around the world to help them to prosper and have great success. This is Dr. Willie Jolley, and for sure, your best is yet to come.
Someone you can call in the midnight
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and if you're enjoying this information you're hearing on this podcast, I want to invite you to get even more great information on my new free gift page on my website. Go to wjspeaks.com and hit the All Access badge. On that page, you will find information and resources specifically designed to help you to have greater success. Free ebooks, music, all sorts of interesting and informational interviews for my XM show. I'm telling you, this is a great page. And why do I do it? Because I've learned that the more we give, the more we get. And the more we help other people to grow and go to the next level, the more we receive in our business. So we want to help you. Tell your friends about it. Go to Facebook and get my information. Go to my website, get my free resources, and get on wjspeaks.com and hit that All Access badge. It looks like a backstage pass. Click it. You'll get behind the scenes information to the special page to help you grow. All we want in return, all we ask is that you pass it on, because the more you give, the more you get. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Have a great day.
A to the D to the T to the I to the T to the U to the D to the E. A to the D to the T to the I to the T to the U to the D to the E. It's about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's all about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's all about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's all about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's about your attitude. It's all about your attitude.
It's about your attitude. 1 8-letter word that has such a big impact on your success or your failure. Attitude, not just about a disposition, but also about how you see the world, how you see life. Do you see it from a negative perspective, or do you see it from a positive perspective? It's your choice. It's about your attitude. See, my friend Keith Harrell wrote a book called Attitude is Everything, and he wasn't lying. Attitude truly is everything. It's about how you view things, how you perceive things, and how you go after things. Can you control the time? No. Can you control the weather? No. Can you control what other people say or do? No. You can only control you and your attitude. And your attitude to life determines your altitude in life. It's about your attitude. And we're back. Dr. Willie Jolley with my special guest, Mark Victor Hansen. If you don't know his name, I'm sure you do. Most people in self-help and self-development know his name, but just in case you're just tuning in and don't know his name, he is the founder and best known as the co-author for the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. Over 500 million books sold worldwide, and just about every household has a chicken soup for the soul, a chicken soup for the Christian soul, a chicken soup for the nurse's soul, a chicken soup for the teenage soul, a chicken soup for the father's soul. I mean, they have a whole brand and series, but he has to tell you how it happened, because it didn't just happen on a cakewalk. He had a lot of not successful ventures, but they came up with a system, and one of them was to not give up, and then one of them was outwork everybody. Mark, why don't you just tell, I know the story, but tell them how this came to be, this phenomenon called Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Well, I'll try to abbreviate it, but you can ask me to amplify anything you want. Jack and I are both talking to 6,000 people down at the Mandala Conference. It was a health conference fortuitously down in San Diego years ago. This has got to be like 1989. And I talk after Jack, and I'm finishing up, sold all the books, tying up back then we had PowerPoints, and Jack says, "Do you know me?" I said, "Yeah, you're Dr. Jack Canfield, Harvard, third in your class, Dean of Self-Esteem, wrote 101 Ways to Build Self-Esteem in the Classroom." He said, "That's correct." He said, "Can I take you to lunch?" I said, "Yeah." Anyhow, I started teaching him how to, because he was talking to educators, and I was talking to business people predominantly, heavily in the life insurance business and real estate, multi-level marketing, and all the mega churches, just because that's, something I like, big stuff. So,
right.
And think big, teach it. As a matter of fact, I got one of the best-selling tapes at Nightingale Clinic called How to Think Bigger Than You Ever Thought You Could Think at one time. And now Recorded Books has just picked it up from them. Because it helps a lot of people, because most people think too small. Like, just get a job, I'll be okay. Right. Jack and I sat, and I taught him all these great stories. He said, "Well, I'm going to put it in a book." I said, "I'm the one who taught you those stories to finish your talks so you could sell more product, do better, and grow and raise your fees." And we raised his fees really high, in a year from 100,000 to $1 million a year, which is phenomenal. And then he said, I'm going to do this. I said, well, we ought to do it together because you're using my stories, and I'll find. He said, well, can you find more? I said, I found those 63. I think I can find the rest. Anyhow, we did it. We spent 3 years putting it together, an idyllic book. Went to all the publishers in New York with a great agent, and they all kicked us out. Long story short, we went to ABA, American Book Expo, where 60,000 people were. Wow. I just walked in there, and I'd been talking 17 days earlier. My former wife was not happy that I was going to go to Anaheim Convention Center for the next couple of days, and Jack and I had 3 ring binders, and we walked from booth to booth. Got turned down a macro amount of time, 144. I don't know anyone else who got turned down that much, but you know,
144 turndowns, Lord.
Yeah, you know, and I like to jokingly say, they said, hit the road, Jack. You don't like him, it's okay, but I'm a nice guy. And, you know, Jack's wonderful and gentle and kind and very smart. And it turns out no one knows this, but he's a Chinese scholar from Harvard, which, you know, and I've been talking in China now for the last 22 years. My average audience is about 2,000. My wife goes with me, and just a mind blower. And I'd love to talk about China if you want to. But anyhow, and we've sold 374 million books in China. So
wow.
Jack's never been there, and I keep going back, and he's running his Mandarin now. It's sort of quixotic, ladies and gentlemen, how the world really works. Because I'm an Indian scholar. In graduate school for a year, I went to India and studied at the Harvard of India. And in Bhuvan's College in Bombay, now called Mumbai. And Jack's been to India a couple times, and they've not ever hired me to talk there. So I can't exactly say why that is, but whatever the law of attraction is, you know, I've been very happy and treated like royalty. And we just got back from Vietnam, as it's like another communist country. And one of my many goals is to write these books like 1 Minute Millionaire and Cash from the Flash and Richest Kids in America to get capitalism to be understood not only in America, but now in all these countries, like everywhere we were, Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh or anywhere, it was sold out crowd. It was sort of amazing. And the only reason we didn't have more audiences because there aren't big venues in communist countries.
Right.
So back to the beginning, Jack and I start the book. We go to the ABA. We're going booth to booth trying to sell it. And we got to one little booth, HCI, which people think means Hansen Canfield Incorporated. It does not. It means Health Communications. A little publisher that we didn't know at the time was bankrupt. They were $17 million upside down. It had a very good run with a very good author. And the publisher used to say to us, boy, the publishing business is great if it wasn't for you authors. And I mentally had always go, you're not getting it. I don't want to keep you alive. You ought to like me and respect me and be kind to me. Anyhow, he took us and said, well, if you sell 20,000 books, I'll sell them to you at $6 each. And he was publishing them at the time. Now, this is long ago, but 1993, when we came out June 28th, you know, he was printing them at 35 cents, selling them back to himself for $1.35, so he was sort of double dipping. In any case, he sold them to us, you know, for $6, and so we got him out of the drink, and then all of a sudden he said, wow, this is going to sell, so I think these guys are going to do the butt-breaking behavior to make this thing go. And like you said, I'm a marketing maven, I own 4 companies now, and I am on a board of a lot of companies because I can open almost any door because I'm a Charger Award winner, which means I've gone, like you said, from rags to riches and been excessively philanthropic.
Right.
That's the over-distilled essence, but I can go into anything.
Well, here's the thing I think that I love about the story. You got turned down 144 times. You see this one little company called HCI. He says, hey, I can't even give y'all much of an advance. I think he gave you $1,000 if I remember correctly.
No, he gave us zero.
Oh, he gave you no money. Okay. Well, whatever the case, he gave you nothing of all intents. And then you guys had to do the promotion. They couldn't even give you a promotion budget. You went to work. You did 2 or 3 or 4 interviews every day. Y'all consistently were on the phone doing radio interviews every day. And for the first year, it just kind of trickled. And then all of a sudden, it was the cumulative impact of those interviews every day, for that had been planting seeds, where the seeds started to burst through, germinate, and you went from nothing almost, or just a trickle, to this tsunami of sales. Yep. Tsunami. I mean, I think you told me one time y'all did like 200,000 books a week.
Well, what happened is is that First of all, they wouldn't. So remember, we buying $20,000 at $6 each. We had to sell them the first year, which was that's $120,000. Then we both put in $80,000 into promotion from our own back pockets.
Wow.
Because I interviewed the 101 best marketers, guys like Wayne Dyer, who just did a kick butt job and just passed away a short time ago.
Right.
And Deep Chopra. I can go on and on. I can name all the authors because they're all became friends because there aren't that many people on the bestseller list. When you're consistent, persistent, and insistent like we were, and working 18 hours a day and all that, and then we learned how to do media. At the next ABA, anyhow, I set the goals because I'm the goal setter of Jack and Mark team, and I said we'll sell $1.5 million in a year and a half. We're starting in June, so the first Christmas won't be that good, but the second Christmas we'll have $1.5 million. We've actually got $1.3 million, and I said the second year we're going to do $5 million. And even great friends like my buddy Bob Proctor, he said, look, I never talk negative about anybody, but he said when you told me you were going to sell $50 million, I went, oh, come on, Mark, what the heck are you doing? And then. And we kept going, and so we went from $1.5 million in a year and a half, basically $1.3 million, then to $5 million, then to $10 million, then to $15 million for 4 years in a row. And we had 15 of the top 50 books in USA Today list every Thursday was when they used to have it. We were
Right.
New York Times all the time with either one or two with our books, and it was sort of amazing. We won every award and got a lot of Guinness Book of records, and but it happened. Oprah is also a member of Horatio. When I was with her, I've been on her show, of course, as has Jack several times, but she said, didn't you notice that it sort of went as a blur? I said, man, I'm looking back at the pictures, and like right now, somebody asked me to write up all the places I've got honorary doctorates, which I thought I had 10, and I've actually got 12 that I've totally spaced, too, that, because you're moving so fast, you
Right.
do it, and you, the president of the university and the chancellor and all that, and just go, whoa, thank you, Jesus, and just keep moving. And I look back at the pictures in one of the universities, I won't mention it because that would be insulting to them, but I'm looking at all these pictures and the awards and the cape and the golf, and I go, I don't even remember being there. But as you know, as a professional speaker, if they can't afford to pay your outrageous fees, and my fees in America are $30,000 and internationally it's $75,000 for 3 hours, so or less is exorbitant, but they don't want to pay your fee. They give you a degree,
Right.
which was okay with me because I love talking to thousands of kids,
Right.
and hopefully get them to go places. And if you need a testimony of that, I'd like to give you just one, just because it's so cool.
Yes. Yes.
You want a testimonial?
Huh?
You want to hear a cool testimonial?
Yes. Go ahead. I want to hear it.
So I'm talking to 20,000 students at Ball State University. Great place, and they're hitting a ball around the room and making all kinds of noise, but they're really paying attention and they're loving it. And the three girls that picked me up at the airport said, we wouldn't have been here except your chicken soup with a teenage soul saved us. We read it. We wanted to go home with your mommy and daddy, and we were going to home. And your story's got us. It was really very touching. And then I did this talk, and I don't know the kid is in the audience. And at night, the president says, only 1 in 10 to matriculate. Start will graduate 4 years. And I went, that sucks. I'm going to do a book called Chicken Soup. And Jack and I championed different books. So I wanted every kid to go through college. And well, I love college so much, I was on the Go a Decade plan. So it's
The decade plan to college.
yeah, well, so I was in the worst case, but I was getting multiple degrees, and I was with Buckminster Fuller, and I just smartest guy, as far as I was concerned, on the planet, and 2,000 inventions like geodesic domes, and now today we got nanotechnology because of the math he taught me, synergetic, energetic geometry. So I was being blown away every day, and I'm a kid that came from nowhere, relative poverty, and now I'm with a smart guy going to NASA. And as a matter of fact, as a quick aside, I just did Back to Space with all the astronauts, and I mean, they were so good to me. And I said, yeah, we met you back in 1967 or 8 with Bucky. We love Bucky. He's our hero. And I thought, wow. And now I'm doing the fundraising for Back to Space because that's the best ecology program ever. Anyhow, kid sitting in the audience, I have no idea he's there. One of my best friends in Hollywood called up and said, hey, you got to meet this kid, Chris Pan. And I said, Christopher Pan. Chris, I don't know who that is. He said, well, just let him come to your office and talk to you. We spent the afternoon together. Long story short.
Hold that thought. 1 second, Mark. I want to hear the rest. So we're going to take a quick break up for station identification. We'll be right back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show. Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and for years I've told people that in order to have a greater life, it starts by having greater individual days. If you have a great day and you repeat that great day 7 times, you've had a great week. And you repeat that week 4 times, you've had a greater month. And then repeat that month 12 times, you've had a greater year, and you're on your way to a greater life. And it starts with that individual day. I recommend you start each day with something powerful. I call it the pure, the powerful, and the positive. Rather than starting your day with bad news, how many people got killed or how many children got snatched or how many fires there were, I recommend you start your day with something to inspire and empower and encourage you to make this day a great day. We're excited to announce the start of Jolley TV on my Facebook page. Go to Willie Jolley, Willie.Jolley on Facebook. Just go to Willie.Jolley on Facebook and get ready for a great day and a great life. Have a great day on purpose. And we're back with my special guest, Mark Victor Hansen. He's telling a great story about a student at Ball State. And it's perfect because I want to talk to him about colleges and what he says to kids at colleges. But this is a great story to line up with where we're going to go. Mark, finish telling us that story about the guy at Ball State.
But just real quick, in an abbreviated way, talking to 20,000 kids at Ball State, the girls said to me, that picked me up, 3 girls said, "We wouldn't have made it into school if it weren't for your books. We read them to each other, and it gave us strength and courage to say we all wanted to go home. We were so homesick as freshmen." And then I go talk to these 20,000 kids that are just beyond exuberant, beyond excited, beyond happy, and they've all read my books, and they're flashing them at me, and later on I got to sign them for hours and hours, but it was just terrific. And then one kid in the audience I didn't know was there. I find out like 15 years later, a friend of mine in Hollywood calls up and says, "Hey, you got to meet this guy, Chris Pan. He has listened to you and delivered the goods." And I said, "Okay, because it's you, I'll do it." So he comes down and meets with my wife, Crystal, and myself, and wows us. He said, "Look, before I heard you, I'd never heard a speaker, and I didn't want to be a speaker, but suddenly I saw, wow, you can move 20,000 people and get them all coalesced, get them all in alignment, get them all in 100% agreement. I want to do that, so I'm going to go out and learn to do that." And then he said, well, Mark said, go to bigger goals, so ends up getting to go to Harvard. He is at Harvard with Mark Zuckerberg, the guy from Facebook that everybody knows, and he's third hire, ends up making a fortune with him and now runs his own company. But he came down to our office and he said, "Look, I'm thankful to you. Even though I'm 6'8" and tall and probably a pretty good student, I didn't have any idea that somebody could bring somebody out, and my goal is to do what you do." And I said, "Chris Pan, you are doing it. Keep doing it, man. I just am so thankful." Because for you and I, Willie,
Yep.
we are trying to get reflected glory.
Right.
And, we've been more than blessed, and if we can bless more people, that's all the better.
Absolutely.
And, that old cliche, from one mind to another mind, often better in the second mind than the first.
Right. That's exactly right. Well, now, speaking of that, you talk about college student. That's a great story about Ball State. Let's talk about if you were in front of a college class, a business class, and you can give them the tips. Here are the bullet point tips that will help you go from nothing to something to build your success personally and professionally. Here are the things you need to be doing, and here's what you should go with. What would you give them some bullet points?
Okay, the bullet points are real simple. Figure out what you want. Number 2, put it in writing. 3, visualize to realize. You got to see it before you can have it. And 4 is build a dream team called a mastermind team if you read Think and Grow Rich, which I recommend. So let's just talk through it. Bill Gates is the most famous guy in computer because he created personal computer. Steve Jobs is the most famous for creating the iPhone, of which I'm holding one now, and we now have 8 billion smartphones after a little over a decade, about 11 years. So amazing. But the guy that's going to go down in history that's going to make the most impact, I predict, is going to be Elon Musk.
Yes.
Not because he and I are both in the renewable energy business, because he does residential and I do commercial industrial. I do big buildings, post offices, gigantic things like Walmart and stuff like that.
Right.
And some businesses like we're doing Denny's right now and Chick-fil-A and stuff. But the fact of the matter is that he set his goal back when he was in college. So you got to listen up now. He wrote 4 major goals. He wanted to have a car company, and he's got Tesla. He wanted to do PayPal, and obviously I think it was made $2.8 billion while he was a student at Stanford. So, yes, it's a good school, but, yeah, he created something that would change the world. He wanted to do something in human genes, which he hadn't had time to, and then he wants to go into space, and he's doing SpaceX. And he says he's going to start colonizing Mars in 2024. And because I just talked back to space with all the astronauts, they're saying, look, we are totally competent and capable, and we believe that he's going to do it. And seeing as I lived 3 days with the smartest kids in America. We had 25 kids from 13 states. Every state applied for these scholarships to be down in Texas with us. I was there, 50 years ago, and now I'm back with the top astronauts that walked on the moon. Everyone from Buzz Aldrin, which a lot of kids think his name's Buzz Lightyear.
Right, right.
we had a great time, and these kids, I spent all day with them, and then at night we did the fundraiser with Black Tie event. But it was amazing to me that these kids are bright, they're illuminated, and these kids aren't getting anything, and they're all STEM kids, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and they also had to have the additional ability to communicate persuasively. That's why they brought me in, and it was heavenly to talk to these guys and interface with them and find their interest and find the tremendous mind power that they're going to do, because the danger for kids if they read the media or listen to TV, they'll get despondent, disconsolate, turned off. And I'm here, like you, to tune them in, turn them on. We're going into the greatest time in human history. It has never been so possible to do so much when you're so young and make a magnificent, impactful difference that makes a difference.
Absolutely. A couple of things I want to go back to. One is figure out what you want, then don't just think it, ink it. You got to write it down. Then you must visualize to realize, speak about your vision, speak about where you're going, what you're going to do, and then build a mastermind team. And we can't say this enough. Both of us have been impacted by the works of Napoleon Hill. And I'm grateful that 2 years ago, there was a guy who created the 53 thought leaders who would speak about the impact Napoleon Hill had on their lives. I'm honored I was one, and Mark was one. And we talked about this mastermind impact and thinking. Now, one of the other things I wanted to delve in just a moment, Mark, and I know we weren't going to talk about other things, but one of the things I've always impressed with you, I've always been impressed with you, you're always looking at new ways to invest. I remember we were on the tour, me, you, and Charlie Tremendous Jones went to dinner one night. I'll never forget it as long as I live. And we talked about a lot of things, but one of the things you inspired and empowered me to do was say, invest more. Take some of your speaking incomes and invest it. I started buying stocks and different things. You've now invested in technology, green technology, and solar technology. Tell us a little bit about that and where people can know about you doing that. I want them to contact you because some business people who are listening are going to want what you got. So tell us a little more about that.
Well, first of all, I teach it around the world that everyone's got to earn money, and starting, even if you're only earning $10, you got to tithe 10% and then save 10% and invest 10%. Now, let's just talk about it. If you can't do it with $10, you can't do it with $100. You won't do it with $1 million. Everyone says, "Well, Mark, it's easy. You're a millionaire, so when I get $1 million, I'll give $100,000." Look, blah blah. If you won't give 1 penny out of 10 cents, you're not going to give 100,000 out of $1 million, because let's face it, you're a cheap, stingy,
son of a gun,
Scrooge type person, right?
Right.
So your state of mind creates your state of future. So back to the investment, I say, I learned it from Jim Rohn. I guess you buy 2 houses and 1 car. And today I was with my chiropractor, and God bless him, he owns 18 houses. He's only 50 years old. Listened to me talk a long time ago, and he's able to retire next year and will never have another financial worry. And I said, look, I wrote a book with Art Linkletter, How to Make the Rest of Your Life the Best of Your Life. And we said, don't retire from something to nothing. Retire from something to something better. Just put on new tires and retire your life and drive in a new direction. The point is, with regard to stocks, I believe anyone can beat the market if they study the market well enough. And you ought to read all of Warren Buffett. He has been very good teaching what's called value investing, and then you ought to study Motley Fools. But what Warren says, Warren Buffett, and I was with him not long ago, and he said the next 20 years, I feel like and he's 87, I feel like a mosquito in a nudist colony. Business is so good.
Wow.
And that's sort of an interesting little metaphor. But he said you ought to have 30 stocks. And what I believe now is that every kid starting at 6 ought to start, their parents ought to help them get going in investment, buy 1 stock a year for every year you're old. So if you're 21, you ought to have 21 different stocks, even if you only got $100 in each one. But try to go for exponentially growing stocks. Now, because I'm a guy who loves technology. I love a lot of things, but I'm really good at technology. Let me just say how tech stocks are going to work. I was on a program in Silicon Valley not long ago with the smartest guy in Silicon Valley today is Ray Kurzweil. He's a guy who had a Google X, guy that really created nanotechnology, created that movie called Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Right.
Very famous guy, and if you haven't watched his video on YouTube, you ought to. My recommendation, but he says exponential is this. Linear, and I'm good at math probably, but is if you take 30 steps, you're 30 steps down the road. Exponential is 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. By the time $1 exponentially goes through 30 revolutions, it is $1 billion.
Wow.
And we've hit what I call now the first exponential age. So if you invest in 30 exponential stocks, Warren Buffett would say 3 are going to die, but 3 are going to be so magnificent they pay for all your failures and all the ones that are just limping along. Now, there's companies like NVIDIA that are just kicking it. There's companies like Netflix. There's companies like Amazon that if you invest just $1 in Amazon, that $1 now is $19,600.
Wow.
18 years later, that is almost impossible to believe. But what Jeff Bezos, who I'm the only guy who melted him down by some 1 Minute Millionaire more than he could deliver, which we can talk to, but Bezos said, look, we are 1% of where the Internet's going to go. And Bezos did a good job, and he made the richest guy in China, who's been a student of mine in 7 Talks, which is Jack Ma, Alibaba, right? It's bigger only because China has 2 billion people. Have I overstated too much to you?
What you have just shown very clearly to everybody is that, we're just getting started in this whole business of stocks and bonds and investment. One other thing that is powerful that I thought was powerful is that you are also talking about how we can become more tech savvy, and everybody should be growing their tech savviness wherever they are.
Yeah, you ought to read Jeff Bezos' book, and you ought to read Forbes magazine, and you ought to listen to, I like Motley Fool. I think David and Tom Gardner are geniuses. They outperform the market. They tell you what they're doing and what you can do too. And today you can listen to it on podcast for free, so you don't even have to spend, I happen to spend the money on how they're going to grow exponentially. But, you know, the fact of the matter is there are people out there to edify us at level, and you can watch all of it almost on YouTube today.
Right.
And, you know, we're at the beginning, not at the end. What you just said about the Internet. First of all, if you read Jeff Bezos' book, when he did books, which absolutely killed my business at some level, we went...
Hold that thought. Before we go there, I'm going to take a quick break, because we got to take a quick break. But I'm going to be right back with Mark Victor Hansen. We've got so much we want to give you in the time we got. We'll be right back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley, and for sure, your best is yet to come.
Life had enough ups and downs. But Lord, since I met you, all that's changed in the blink of an eye. Now all my heart wants to do is fly. You put wings on my dreams, and overcame my fear of heights. Now how high will I fly? If I dare to touch the sky, oh, I'm flying where eagles only wish they could soar.
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and people often ask, how did I go from a broke, busted nightclub singer to become a best-selling author and to be voted one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world by the 175,000 members of Toastmasters International? The answer is that I decided to invest and change my thinking, invest in my mindset, and decided to change my inputs, because inputs determine outputs. I heard about a seminar years ago when I was just getting started. I was making about $100 a speech. And I heard this seminar that was creating millionaires, and it cost $10,000, but the guy was getting results. I didn't have that kind of money, but I decided to borrow it, because I learned that there's a price for success, the price of college, the price of going to school, the price of education. And there's a price for success, and then there's a cost for not paying the price, the cost of staying the same. And that cost is greater than the price. It's too expensive. And so I went, and it changed my life. And I came back and quickly made $100,000. I heard a similar story from Dr. Dave Martin, how he went to a success rally, heard a speaker who inspired him. He and his friend said, wow, that's changed my life. The speaker had a package of materials to help build wealth. The package cost $1,500. And that was all the money Dr. Dave had to his name. Dr. Dave's friend asked, do you think this stuff is worth it? Dr. Dave thought for a moment. He said, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. But I do know that I'm worth it. I'm worth it. He invested that money in that package and used the materials to grow his thinking. He grew his mindset. He shared how that $1,500 investment has gone on to generate millions in revenues. He's a multimillionaire. And he has homes now in Arizona and Florida. I want to say to you, it's time to invest in you. I want to give you some materials that will help you, grow your mindset, grow your future, grow your finances. Go to wjspeaks.com/billionaire. wjspeaks.com/billionaire to get some materials that will inspire your success and help you find that there's a price for success, but there's a cost for not paying the price. And the cost is always greater than the price. Go to wjspeaks.com/billionaire and get the bag, the box, or any of the materials there and keep growing your wealth. And remember, as a man thinketh, so as he is, and your best is yet to come.
Motivated, highly motivated, motivated, wanna take it to the top. Motivated, highly motivated, motivated, I'm never gonna stop. I had a job I really hated. It made me sick, but it got me motivated. I knew that this was not where I was meant to be. I didn't want to stay, but I was too afraid to leave. Then one day I got my check, there was almost nothing there. I went to the boss, he laughed and said he didn't care. My kids were at home hungry, I was about to lose my home. That's when I decided I had to make it on my own. Said,
And we're back with Mark Victor Hansen. He's telling us where the world is going. Remember, folks, that I've told you before, and he would concur, that America, if you're only thinking American and your business is only American, you're only thinking a microcosm of what's possible. America has less than 8% of the global economic sales. If you think globally, which is the internet, you can start to think about things that are unbelievable. And just he said, Alibaba in China and all the other opportunities.
But you and I live in a little band around that outside, which is really little. I mean, like way little. It's if you look at all the water, it looks like a lot because it's 3/4 of the earth, and that's what people think. Well, that's a lot of water, but it's less than your thumbnail in thickness on the outside surface of the earth, and it's polluted right now. So my company says we want to have energy and water independence for everyone, everywhere, because half the people don't have water, half the people don't have energy, and there's a water, energy, food nexus that creates enough food so we can have fundamental abundance for the first time. Now, that doesn't mean we won't have a wackadoo here and there, but basically, all the people coming out of Africa right now to Europe are coming because there's a water shortage and a food shortage and a drought shortage, none of which we should be having. And you say, well, those are big words. Are you going to do something about it? Yeah. We need to go off petrochemicals. We're going to need petrochemicals for the next we're going to need it for the next hundreds of years, but we can't keep polluting our little biosphere because it's fragile, and it's the only place we got to live. The amount of people that are going to go live on Mars with Elon Musk in 2024 is minuscule.
Right.
Maybe it's hundreds at the most.
Right.
And I don't care that Bezos is doing it and my friend Richard Branson's doing it. The fact of the matter is it's a minute amount of us. Therefore, we only have one place to live. Little planet called Spaceship Earth. My teacher, Bucky Fuller, wrote the book called Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth. We got to take care of the ecology. And so I own a commercial solar company, and I believe every house that qualifies it, should have residential, should have solar. That's not my business. My business is doing big, giant solar projects for utilities and for, commercial buildings. And the beautiful thing about Walmart, we're just with the head of Walmart at Horatio. They are such a leader in this. They're putting solar on all their buildings, but they're mandating, it's called gigaton factories. They're mandating that if I'm Walmart, Willie, and you're making whatever you're making for Walmart, you've got to go solar within the next 5 years.
So we've got to change our thinking in a new economy and a new mindset. Now, what is it that successful people got to have? We got to think it. We got to ink it. We got to know what we want. We got to get a green team. And what else do these young folks have to have if they're going to? You got to be persistent, obviously, because one of the stories that is so successful for your story is persistence.
Yeah, you got to have a white hot desire. You're going to go over, under, around, or through to get to the other side. So you outthink, outwork, outsell, outdeliver. Like when we were selling 20,000 books a week, I called up the lady at New York Times who had not put us on a list. And she said, "Sir, you are a multi-authored book." I said, "Correct?" She said, "We at New York Times do not put on multi-authored books." I said, "You're sure about that?" "You're absolutely positive." She said, "I am positive." I said, "Well, lady, if you look at this week's list, you've got the Bible, and that's got 66 books. Unless we had maps done by men and women, then it's called 67. She said, "You're in next week, kid." Price Club Costco is a lovely gentleman who came to all my seminars in the old days, Saul Price. I'm sure you probably met him along the road because he was a seminar junkie, and God bless him. And that's how he built such a big, great company, because he was always thinking and always growing, and, wonderful man. But he calls me up and says, "Mark, you're selling so many books here at Costco. I want you to do a chicken soup for the soul cookbook." I said, "Sully, man, you and I are great friends. We love each other." I said, "I don't do cookbooks. We do short story books." He said, "Well, the first order is $250,000. I said, "Saul, I can do a cookbook." And we did a great cookbook.
So y'all were on the phone talking to people every day to push this book. I mean, you weren't shy about it. You weren't shamed to be. Well, some would say you were self-promoting. But if you don't promote yourself, who's going to do it? Is that correct?
That's correct. Like I was just told by a mega church, which will go unnamed because some people love these churches and some don't. But I said, I'm asking all of you to pray that this book becomes a worldwide bestseller and sources and serves people at levels I can't even currently imagine. And the audience all prayed with me that it would happen. And I'm sure that was just one of a lot of times, because I probably did 40 church talks a year at that juncture of my life, and loved doing it. I mean, everywhere from New York to California to some stuff around the world. So it was wonderful. I've had the ups and downs like everybody, but I've had one of the greatest lives ever. I'm just exceedingly thankful for myself.
It's unbelievable. And what you have been able to do, you and Jack, but you also, because you're so energetic and you continue to be energetic. What is the secrets to your personal energy, your personal vitality? Because, you weren't born yesterday. I mean,
I think you got to exercise every day. And at some levels, exercise is a fountain of youth, but there are 4 parts to exercise.
Okay.
You got to do aerobics, which means with air. And like yesterday morning, 3 days a week, if I'm in town, I spin for an hour, and I sweat so much, even my eyelids sweat, which is just amazing to me. And 3, you got to have flexibility, which means you got to do something like yoga. And my wife is more into that than I am, but all the stretching or Pilates or one of the martial arts. And then you got to do balance, because as you get older, your balance stops because people stop spinning. Like a Sufi, they spin, and you're supposed to go 12 ways, 12 spins to the right and 12 spins to the left each and every day. And I'm not perfect at that one, but it sure helps, because I see I'm 70, almost 71 here in a couple of days, is that most people don't keep spinning and they lose it. You need that. So you got to exercise. That's the fountain of youth. And if you look at guys like Peter Guber, who's 78, the guy who owns the Warriors and the Dodgers and 50 Academy Award, he's my close friend. He looks 40 because he does that.
Wow.
And you got to make sure what your nutrition is. So you got to have great nutrition, great exercise. You got to have great human relationships, not only with your own spouse, but you've got to have a coterie of people. Like you and I are friends forever.
Right.
I mean, you can't get rid of me. I'm sorry.
Well, this is true. We've been friends for a long time, and I'm so grateful for it.
Some great friendships and keep that mojo working, so to speak. And then, you got to be, the fourth thing I'd say is you got to be passionately a purpose about something and have what you said a minute ago, white hot desire to stay fully alive. Like every kid needs it, But you need it as you get older because you retire. You say, all I want to do is golf. Golf, 100 best golf courses. I want to stay at only 7-star hotels, the 100 of you. I don't think.
You want to have the best kind of life and dream of the best kind of life and then work to get it and stay excited about life and enthusiastic about life and set goals.
Yeah, and keep setting goals.
Keep setting goals, big goals. Dream big and keep dreaming big because age is only a number. As Satchel Paige said, age is about mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. When you set those goals, it makes a difference. Well, let me ask you last question. Where can people reach buy your books, get your information, hire you to come to an event, whatever? Where's the site that they can get you in touch with you?
Yeah, they can go to just markvictorhansen.com, and it tells you how to do it. Just MarkVictorHansen. It's a Danish spelling of .com. And,
Well, I cannot thank you enough for taking time out. We've been wanting to get together for a while. Look, I called him one time to check on him, and he was in some amazing place. He said, I can't get a phone call, but I can get a text out here. And I said, what? He is all over the world. And I'm just grateful that he could be here today and be part of this show. He was somewhere and he had been stuck by a hurricane. That's what it was. He was stuck by a hurricane, but it hadn't touched him and he just couldn't leave. And so I'm grateful that he could find time to be with us to tell you, all my listeners, how you can transform your life like he did and how you can transform your future. Mark, I love you, man.
I love you too. I wish for you and everybody listening all the good that they can even imagine.
Amen. Well, I look forward to having dinner when I'm out in the Arizona area again, and we can connect and break bread and hug each other's necks. I love you, man.
Indeed. Thank you.
All right.
Everybody.
Thank you, buddy. Well, folks, that was a great interview with my friend Mark Victor Hansen. I encourage you to go to his website, markvictorhansen.com, and I encourage you to stay connected with us. Go to williejolly.com/gift. williejolly.com/gift. Get the free gift that we give to everybody, ebooks, audibles, and all the things we can find to give to you. Also, go to jollymarriage.com, get your free chapter from the marriage book, and finally go to attitudeofexcellence.com and get the free chapter. And for those who love faith messages, you can go to jollygoodnews.org. Hear my message from the Hour of Power and others that will inspire you. God bless you. Remember, for sure, your best is yet to come.
Are you tired of crying and complaining? Tired of feeling like life don't treat you fair? Do you see so many others moving on while you're steady going nowhere? Come to the conclusion that there's nothing at all that you can do. Well, just look in any mirror and you'll see who is really truly stopping you. My. It's up to every one of us to take charge of our life and to make it what we want. If you think that it takes too much time, think again, 'cause I'm telling you it don't. The fact is, it only takes a minute to make up your mind that now is your time to make your run. It only takes a minute, 60 seconds to begin to decide to win. Just get it on. Just get it on. Start it off by checking your frustration. Scream out loud that you had it up to here. Get yourself so fired up to change that you lose everything.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.